Good evening. My name's Jason Debley. Tonight's whiskey review is a Speyside single malt from the Benromach distillery. My last review was the Benromach 15-year-old, and I wasn't particularly impressed with it. But I went to a whiskey festival last year, and there was a presentation from this distillery. So I thought I would pick up a couple bottles, which I did. And the other bottle I got was the triple distilled. So when you hear triple distilled, or when I hear triple distilled in the context of whiskey, I think Irish whiskey. Triple distillation generally produces a lighter, smoother whiskey. Scotch whiskey is typically not distilled 3 times, with the exception of Auchentoshan. That distillery, I think, does a triple distillation. There are probably some other exceptions that I can't think of right now, but it's more of an Irish whiskey practice. So, triple distilled Benromach. There is not an age statement on it, but this bottling was distilled in 2009 and then bottled in 2017. So 8 years. And the 8 years the spirit was matured in first fill bourbon casks, which should tell you, again, as I've said in other reviews, when you hear a lot of bourbon wood management, ex-bourbon cask wood management, think melon, think banana, vanilla, and oak. It's going to be pleasant and light. So, first fill bourbon casks, and the distillery is owned by Gordon MacPhail, who I hold in high regard, an independent bottler. And since my last review, I've learned that all Benromach releases are unchill filtered and no artificial color. So for you purists out there, you're in for a treat. This particular triple distilled bottling that I got was not overly expensive either. It was well under $100. Comes in a 700 milliliter format, cork stopper, and like I said, natural color. We need a glass. Oh, got one. Oh, and I had a little bit of, I'll use a clean glass. Cork stopper. Pour a little whiskey here. Now it's 50% alcohol by volume, so that's a strong drink. We're going to try it neat. I do have water. I've tried it with water. But I like this neat. On the nose, it's apricot, buttercups, it's fruit forward, nicely floral, and for a 50% alcohol by volume, it's not offensive. A lot of vanilla going on too. Ripe tangerines. When you first take a sip, it is powerful. It's concentrated because of the high alcohol by volume. But it's not fiery, it's not spirity, it's not unbalanced. It's instead concentrated and complex. That's a great thing. And I'm impressed because this is an 8-year-old whiskey. I'm tasting apricot jam, pears, pear juice, some ginger in a good way. It's creamy, mouth-watering. I wouldn't call it smooth. It's been distilled 3 times, but it's not smooth. It is textured, powerful, concentrated, and interesting. On the finish, you have a long finish, which is not surprising with 50% alcohol by volume. You're left with English cream, some ginger, salt, pepper, leather, a nice deep malt and oak note. You have some smoke and peat, but it's very restrained and calm, sophisticated. This is a really good single malt. I'm really impressed with it. And I have my original notes from the whiskey tasting I did at the festival last year. And I said then that I really liked it. And I still really like it. And it wasn't expensive. The only problem with this triple distilled Benromach is that it's in limited production. I think there are only about 15,000 bottles made, 15,600. So it's not mass produced. It might be hard to find, but if you can find it, you should buy it. Cheers, thanks for tuning in.